Hey guys, what's up? I'm about to sit down with one of my good buddies, apartment investor, David Tupin. Look, I love land investing. If you follow me, I think it's the best real estate investing strategy out there. He thinks the same thing about apartment investing, so we're gonna sit down, hash it out, and hope you guys enjoy.
Toma.
Got Dave Tupin here. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Dave here, legend apartment investor, lives here in Austin with me. We thought we wanted to shoot a quick video just to talk about kind of the differences in land and apartment. So, Dave, tell our audience, how do you find an apartment deal?
Man, so we find them in a bunch of different ways. Like anything, a lot of hustle and just putting feelers out there in a bunch of different methods, right? So I think the four main methods that we use are talking to brokers.
Okay.
So like you buy a house, you talk to an agent, you buy a multifamily property, same thing, there's commercial brokers, that's what we call them. And so we got a ton of relationships with those. We get fed on-market deals, off-market deals, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Cold calling, I have a team of 10 acquisitions people at any given time where they're making cold calls direct to owners. I provide them with lists and I provide them with kind of information, a little bit of coaching on how to communicate with owners. Their goal is to go out, find deals. We regroup every week as a team, talk about your leads, how many calls you make, we track all the numbers. So, you know, we'll make...
dialing?
No, I mean, I just give them a list and, you know, they'll probably just dial up their phones and stuff. You know, I track their numbers in a spreadsheet. We probably made like 5,000 calls the first half of the year. You know, these people are just putting in a couple hours a week because it's not paid. What happens is if they find a deal, I end up closing on it. I bring them in on the equity and give them a piece of the fee. So, and I'm kind of coaching them a little bit along the way. So that's the second way. Third way, we send mailers. I've done 2 deals now off mailers that have been hugely successful. Direct to, you know, we mail the owner and say, hey, I'm interested in buying an apartment building. I see you own one here. You want to sell it?
Have you people take a piss off?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. Yeah, on the calls and, you know, mailers. I've had people say stop mailing me. I just keep mailing them.
Yeah, I just keep.
You know, but I've made well over 7 figures from 2 deals that we got from mailers. So it's great. And then last way I would say is by probably like online listings or the, you know, network, right? So I know somebody who is hunting for apartments or like bird dogs or, you know, other people in the industry that we have relationships with, and they'll bring us a deal and say like, hey, what do you think of this? If it works, maybe we partner on it and stuff like that. So that's probably like the main ways we find it.
The 4 ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year I filled 120 deals in my pipeline with 1 way.
That's fantastic.
Just mail.
That's easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
Hey, and you're focused, dude. It's focused.
Yeah.
There's a book called The One Thing.
I read it.
You better read it. Well, you already do it. You don't need to read it. You wrote the book.
All right, so it takes 4 ways to find it. Sounds like a bunch of work. How about funding? How do you fund an apartment deal?
So fund it from a couple ways. Either we buy it ourselves, we write a check.
Who writes the check? You write it?
I write the check.
Okay.
Yep, me and my business partners.
Okay.
Yep. Write the check. Private equity. So we got family offices, private equity companies, and you know, or crowdfunding sources, which I guess I'd still consider a little bit of private equity. They'll write one big check. So they'll write a $3, $4, $5, $7, $10 million check for the cost to fund the deal. We'll put up the other 10%. So we'll put up, you know, 3, 4, 500, 700 grand or whatever our piece of the deal, and then we'll buy it that way. The other way is we raise money from private investors. So third way, individual private investors at anywhere from $50,000 a person to, I have some investors that put $1 million in on a deal. And so, you know, we've got a couple hundred investors, you know, raised, I guess I've raised close to $20 million through doing a couple of these methods in the last,
20 million.
Yeah, 20 million just in the last 3 years. Okay. So, but every deal is different. So I look at a deal and I say, okay, this needs an $8 million check. Well, maybe my private investor network is really full because I have another deal I'm raising 3 or 4 on, and I don't want to, like, you know, I don't want to crowd them with too many deals and confuse them. So we'll go to private equity at that point and say, hey, do you want to partner with us to write a check? You may think, well, why don't you just always go to private equity? Because, so, you know, it's easy. They just write one check instead of going to 50 different people on a deal. Well, they are a little bit more greedy. They got a little bit more. They got a little bit more. You know, they got you by the balls a little bit when they're putting that big of a check up, and so there's a little negotiation still, but they take a little bit more of the deal and on the equity side, and then they don't allow us to charge as big of fees, but we use them for bigger deals. So I'm okay taking a little bit less when I'm doing a $20 million deal, $30 million. So that's the other way. Private investors, we get a lot more control over the structure of the deal financially.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's how we fund it.
Okay.
Yep.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it can be a lot of work. Yeah. It is managing it, but we got an investment relations manager.
That's a huge part that most struggling investors, as I like to say, kind of get stuck with, is the funding part. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I
think so.
Big mindset.
Finding the deal and funding. It's like, how do you have the confidence, especially when you're young? How do you have the confidence to go out and convince people to invest with you? And it's not easy. I mean, it's fucking, it's a grind,
right?
Like
it's
anything else.
A grind. How long have you been doing it for?
3.5, 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really getting started in land investing isn't bad when it comes to financing.
Yeah.
You can buy properties for $500,
so cheap.
$1,000,
Yeah.
$1,500 can just be part of the.
So most people can do that.
Most people can start literally tomorrow.
Correct. Right away.
Take a G. Correct. Go buy a couple properties.
Correct.
With it. Exactly.
Exactly.
And then churn it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, when it gets into the bigger level, you start scaling.
Yeah.
We do a lot of kind of the same things you do. But really for me, and this is what I tell our clients, is that if you have a list of 5 to 10 family members for land, this is different, right? Because you only need $50,000 sometimes.
Sure.
5 to 10 family members, 1 or 2 deal funding partners. Again, deal funding partners take that big chunk. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why we like having the friends and family. And then the rest of it,
because you get a little more control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the deals with the highest spread, biggest returns, we keep those for ourselves.
Exactly. You cherry pick the best ones. Hell yeah. No, I like that. That's good. So you do volume. You do a lot of deals.
Yeah.
Where you make, you still make good money on each deal, but you make a little bit on a lot of deals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is better as opposed to just doing a few smaller number of deals and making big chunks?
Yeah, at least right now, before Uncle Sam brings their hands in more, there's just not a ton of regulation.
Yeah. Okay.
It's easy to, I have a team of 3, 2 full-time, 1 part-time, and we can crank 150 deals a year.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just it. It's just them.
Yeah.
Somebody's calling to buy, somebody calling to sell.
Yeah.
And somebody doing some office work, right? And so it's very repeatable. That's why I think a lot of people like land, because they can really see I've done it 5 times.
Scale it.
Yeah. So you're definitely not doing 5 deals where you make $1 million bucks. Right?
Yeah.
But it becomes pretty easy, especially when you get to the to volume. You're not really doing much.
Exactly.
You're just kind of managing a couple team members.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like it. And you can kind of the more you pump into it, the more time you put into it, probably the more deals you're going to do.
Yeah.
You want to work an extra 10 hours a week, probably do 170, 190 deals.
And then I'm sure you'll understand this. Once you do more, your network grows, there's more opportunity, there's more funding.
Yeah.
And so it's a momentum thing. Some people stop once they've done a couple because it's getting too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, it's do you want to build a business around it or what?
Exactly, right.
You're going to treat it like a hobby or treat it like a business, and it's going to reflect what you actually earn off of it. So.
All right, last one. How do you monetize? How do you make money off of the deal you buy?
So, buy a deal ourselves, we make cash flow, right? Buying a 20-unit property on my own right now, I'm going to make X amount of cash flow a year off that, right? For my investment.
How much?
So that deal should net about 60 to 70,000 a year.
Okay.
After everything, and the investment was about $400,000.
Okay.
To buy it.
Gotcha.
But bought it for 1.3, put 400 in it. You're all in at 1.7. When I'm done with it, it's going to be worth $3 million.
Okay.
So
5 years, 7 years? How long?
2 years.
2 years?
It's just a slam dunk deal. Yeah, it's in a great area.
You just found the right one.
Yeah.
Is it here?
No, it's in Michigan, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in a cool downtown area. I did the same thing. I cherry picked. I was buying a portfolio. I cherry picked the one that I really wanted.
Exactly.
And buying that. So out of that deal, what I ended up doing was I just brought one investor in. They're gonna put up all the money. I gave them 50% of the deal. I take 50% of the deal.
Okay.
So I put $0 in, and I'm gonna make 30, 40 a year off it. I charged a fee up front for putting the deal together, $75,000, because the deal was really good. It could support it.
Yeah.
And then when we're stabilized, my equity is going to be, $600,000-700,000.
Nice.
And I put $0 into it within a year and a half.
Perfect.
So it's the little deals like that. Normally I do much larger deals, but little deals like that where it's okay, that's a grand slam deal.
I'm
gonna cherry pick.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that one kept small, kept private. I do that myself. So
To get cash flow, how else you monetize it?
So cash flow, we charge fees up front, like on the syndication side where we raise capital, charge an acquisition fee, 2% of purchase price, pretty standard. So we buy a $10 million deal, we get 200 grand up front day one when we close. Sometimes we charge brokerage fees if the deal can support it. So we'll like get it under contract for like 9.8 and then mark it up to 10, like knowing that 10 is still a good price to buy it. So when we get another 200 grand up front.
Gotcha, okay.
And then we make, we normally do an 80-20 split with investors. So investors put up all the money, we invest in that as well. That's worth 80% ownership. So out of that, I might have like 5 of that 80 based on our investment, or 7 or 10. And then we get the other 20 as sweat equity just for putting the deal together.
Gotcha.
So on a deal, a $10 million deal, for example, we might make passive income another $50,000 a year, and then off of our investment another $15,000-$20,000 a year. And then our sweat equity, normally at the end of that, it's worth, on a deal that size, like $750,000 to $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. So I don't do 150 deals a year.
Yeah.
I do 4 or 5 deals a year.
Yeah.
But those 4 or 5 deals are a couple $1 million, $3-4 million in equity and fees and income.
Like, what do you do to the properties? Because when we buy a piece of land, what we love is that
it's so easy. You don't do anything, dude.
Right.
We have to put a lot of work into managing the renovations, making sure we hit the rents. We're overseeing the property management company. Fortunately, I don't do third party. I don't manage. We do third party. But we put a lot of work. I mean, it takes a couple months to close a deal, and then it takes a year and a half of diligent oversight to really make sure we hit our projections and our numbers. And so it's not like we buy it, we flip it on a land contract. Now you're making cash flow real easy, which is awesome. It's like there's a lot more work, but they're bigger checks, right? And a lot of long-term equity. So short term, you're not going to make nearly as much money as you make doing some of these more volume on a smaller deal. Yeah, it's like, okay, first year I didn't really make a lot. Second year I didn't make a lot. Third year, early in third year I became a millionaire. I became a multimillionaire by fourth year. Yeah. So, and then it's just gonna like double dribble. It's just gonna keep going. So, yeah.
A lot of it comes back to the hustle, dude.
It's a hustle, man. Like patience too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why do you think land investing is better than multifamily? Dude, that's the question, right?
Yeah, like I think that so many people like you're a baller, like you get it, right? Like you hustle a lot harder than a lot of other people do, and a lot of people just don't have that in them. You know what I mean?
No, they don't.
It's just the truth, and it's okay, right?
Yeah,
it's not a big deal, but
a lot of them want it and they still don't put it in.
Exactly.
That's the worst part, right?
A lot of them want it and don't put it in. But with land, it's easy to see, like, you hear Dave and he's making millions and flipping 10 million unit deals or $10 million deals, right? And then with land, it's like, hey, the average person who has that kind of blockade of how do I get started in real estate investing can put up $5,000 of their own money.
Way easier.
It's so easy.
It's so much like less of a mental block. Like, how do I do even $1 million property versus how do I buy a $30,000 piece of land and flip it for 50?
Right. You can call 3 family members and say,
it's not hard to get 30 grand.
Right.
Even when I started, I remember because the first amount I ever raised was 200 grand, and that was hard.
Oh yeah.
But if it was 30, it would have been a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
So
it removes that, and I think there's a really quick. What got me and why I really scaled it up is because it got me within 18 months out of my job, making 6 figures a year, passive, not doing anything, and then gives me the freedom to do everything else I want to do, right? So I can go into investing, I can go to apartments now, I can do more land, I can build an online brand, whatever I want to do. It's a quick
software company, which we're both doing.
It's a quick way out of the rat race, I think.
Correct.
If you hustle. None of them are going to work without the hustle.
No, they'll never work unless you put in the work. A lot of it. I mean, you were working full-time and doing this. You're probably working like 80, 90 hours a week. Doing both of those things at first for like a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
before you can even, really start rolling.
So for the land investing audience, what's the case for apartment investing?
Apartment investing is long-term wealth. Like it's I mean, depending on how you do it. If you have money to buy them yourself, still that's prime way. You might start with some smaller properties, but like great way to build cash flow. Instead of buying a single family rental, buy apartments, buy 5+ units at least. 10, 12 is even better to start with, right? The bigger you go, it's actually easier to manage. I could more easily manage 100 unit apartment building than anyone else could manage 5 single family homes. Like it's just easier because I have on-site employees that do all the daily work, and I just I've got my bookkeepers, my management company, they oversee that. Like I just have to check in 1 or 2 times a week, look at the reporting, make sure they're on track, go visit the property, here and there, make sure it's, in good condition, and stuff like that. So apartments, scalable. I could scale it. I could become a billionaire in my lifetime just off buying apartments. And it's been done time and time again by a lot of people, that you can become very wealthy doing it. And I don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's tried and true. People are always going to be living in apartments. There are very structured systems to buying apartments too. It's not like you have to go and do anything crazy or be Einstein, right? And that's why I like it, because I wasn't going to go.
But a lot of people don't think that though. Like I get it, it's commoditized, right? But like a lot of people will say, well, there's so much regulation, you got to find all these people to fund the deal and to management companies, all this stuff, right?
Yeah, we got to do the same thing with what you're doing, right? You can do 150 deals a year unless you had some team members helping you out, and you start figuring out how to advertise. And there's systems, I think, in every business.
As you start making money, you learn what makes money.
It's just different systems. Yeah, you learn what makes it. It's just different systems, and you just have to be aware of that. Okay, like I think apartments is certainly going to take longer. If you were to say like, okay, how am I going to make my first 6 figures or first $1 million in a year? I think it'll probably take twice as long as it would doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then I think once you get in that groove, if you're still working at that same pace, you get there in 2 years, I get there in 4 years. But then from year 4 to 6, I think you'd see exponential growth that would probably,
as far as like net worth,
swamp, or it would tower over if you're doing like wholesaling or just like, I mean, you do it special, so I know you do very, very well, which is probably rare compared to how you're very creative too. So, but compared to, I'd say, the average land investor, average apartment investor, I mean, I think you're going to see more wealth over time from that. But I
agree.
They both have their pros and cons.
The 3 biggest land investors I know also invest in apartments.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think just real estate in general is great. To me, like, I get the whole land investing model. It'd be like, if I wanted to get in and do it, I think I'd be very successful at it. But it's like, okay, I have to learn a whole new thing now too.
Yeah.
So, I like that you do it. I get to hear about you doing it. That's awesome. And then, maybe one day I'll just invest with you, and you take my money, and you go do your, and then you give me some money. I'll make it diversify a little bit.
A little money, right?
Yeah. So, real estate, there's so many ways to make money that it's like, I don't know if, I think apartments is the best way, but I don't think at the same time, I think they're all great ways to do it,
Moral of the story, start.
Yeah, just do it. You just gotta do something. Like, it depends on what you want too. Like, not everybody wants.
Not everybody wants the lifestyle, right?
Yeah, everybody wants.
Actually, I think most people want the lifestyle.
Most people want the lifestyle and the money, but they don't want to put in the work. So, like, in my opinion, if you don't want to put in the work, like, you wanting that lifestyle doesn't mean shit. Like, it's like, it literally doesn't mean shit, and you're broke mentality.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you got a great mindset. It doesn't matter if you read all the books. It doesn't matter if you go to the conferences. It doesn't matter if you pay for a coach, and if you don't get it done and like start earning revenue, like, which is what like a business does, like, then you still got a broke mentality. I don't care how motivated you are. Like, if you're not putting in the work and making it happen, like, you either don't have it in you or you're not working hard.
Love it, dude.
So,
hey, y'all go follow this guy. We'll pop his handle up right here at Real Estate Jedi.
Go follow Clint. I don't know what's your handle? Clint Turner Land.
Clint Turner Land.
Clint Turner Land. Follow this guy. He's a rock star. See you guys.